I recently presented to a group of entrepreneurs who were looking to start a business. There was a poll that was given out at the end of the lecture that basically asked several topics that people would be interested in learning more about. Overwhelmingly, the answer was business plans. In this video, I'm going to go over where to start when you're looking to write a business plan, some of the basic sections that you should focus on, what lenders are going to look at when you're considering a loan, and what can make or break a loan based on your business plan. I'm going to post a simple template to a business plan in the description below. This will have all of the sections that I'm going to go over. Are you looking to start a business in the near future or maybe a few years when the time is right? Let me know in the comments what your time frame is. A lot of entrepreneurs have great ideas. They just have a hard time putting thought to paper. One of the toughest things that you can be asked when you're starting out building a business is what your plans are going to be for the next few years. Most businesses, when they start out, are more worried about the day-to-day than they are projecting a couple years into the future. The reason this becomes an issue is if you want to borrow money from any kind of lending institution, it's probably going to be longer than maybe a year. So the bank wants to know how you plan on paying off that loan. That's why it's much easier just to get a personal loan, because they only go off of your personal credit and your personal income. When you're looking to take out a business loan from a bank or other lending institution, the only way that loan is going to be repaid will be from cash flow from the business. Since you're going to be a startup or new in business, the bank wants to know how you plan on paying that loan back. Yes, if you default on the loan, you will still have to pay that loan back using your personal income or other personal assets, but the bank isn't going to rely on that as a decision to give you the loan. Without any prior history as far as the business goes, the bank has no way of knowing what your payment history is for any obligations that you've had. They're going to use your personal credit score, and this is basically going to be a gauge to see if you've paid off obligations in the past in your personal life. If you're not asking for a lot of money, they may rely only on that. Even if you're taking a small amount of money out from the bank, and I'm not talking credit cards. Normally, business credit cards are only going to be taking your credit score into account when they make the decision. But if you are going to borrow money from a bank, they're going to ask for some sort of business plan. They don't have to be complex or cumbersome. They only need to contain the most important aspects of your business: cash flow. So let's break it down into several sections and touch on each one briefly. Some of the major parts that you should include are your executive summary, your company description, organization and management, what service or product you're going to sell, what your funding request is if you're going to be borrowing money, financial projections to back up how you're going to pay that money, and the closing statement. The first section is the executive summary. Think of the executive summary as a Cliff Notes version of your business. This is the back page of the book or the trailer of the movie that makes you wanting more. This is the section that will make your lender or investor keep reading the rest of your plan. My advice is to do this part last. If you complete all the other sections that we're going to talk about, the executive summary will basically write itself. If you go through the template and follow along while writing your business plan, at the end, all you're going to have to do is put it into a new Google Doc, cut and paste it down, and you're done. That's going to lead us into the next section, the company description. In the company description, you want to focus on you, the who, the what, the where, the when, the how. Talk about how you came up with the business idea, who's going to be involved, what you're going to sell, and other points that speak to the uniqueness of your business. This is the first glimpse into your business that your lender or investor will get and could make a broad decision based on how thorough you are with it. Do your homework and really concentrate on this section. As far as the organization and management section, this is where you're going to talk about how your business is going to be structured. Are you going to be a sole proprietor, an LLC, or a corporation? Who's going to run the company? What's your experience? What's your background? Where did you get your skills? You want to include a resume, but only include relevant information. Treat this like a job application. If you're interviewing for an IT position, don't include that you mowed grass in high school. And if there's more than one owner to the business, make sure you're listing all of those resumes as well as the strengths and experiences that they bring. Use the product or service section to detail what you're offering. How does it differentiate itself against the competition? Answer the following questions. What is your product or service? How is your product or service different from competitors? Are there any patents, certifications, or processes? Who will provide the service? What will you charge? Explain what benefit your product or service delivers to your customers, in particular relative to your competition. The funding request. If you're using this business plan to request funding, this section is where you're going to detail all of your funding requirements. You're going to list what's needed, how you intend to use those funds, and you're going to list it over the basic term of the loan. So if it's a 5-year loan, you're going to make sure that you list how you're going to pay that loan off or how you're going to use those funds over 5 years. What your desired terms are, including interest rate and time period, So in this section, you would say you want a 5-year loan at 4.5% for the purchase of equipment. Provide an example of what the funding you need. For example, let's say you're going to use the money for working capital to cover operating expenses while you're building your revenue pipeline. Finally, you're going to state your future strategic plan, whether it's paying off the debt or selling the business. You want to give them an idea of what the long-term goal and growth of your business is going to be. You want to make sure that you allow for a little wiggle room in your budget and your startup costs because they can quickly balloon out of control. It would probably be a good idea to try for a small working capital line of credit just in case also. You also want to address in this section how you're going to pay for the loan. This is where your financial projections are going to come into play, and that's what we're going to talk about next. I'm going to put a template in the description below that'll help you out with this. Basically, you just plug and play numbers and it'll show you what your cash flow looks like. There is a saying that no one projects themselves out of business. Make sure your numbers are as close to real as possible. You can obtain things like average profit margin by doing a little market analysis. If the average profit margin for your product or service is 3%, it would be hard to justify why you would make more than that unless you have a very unique spin on the product or service. It's okay to project a loss the first year, as you're going to have startup costs that will probably take away your profit. This is why most lenders want to see 2 or possibly even 3 years. When you're all done with that and you wrap up all the other parts of the plan, you want to put a closing statement. This is your last-ditch effort to win over your audience. Whether it's a lender or your long-lost cousin who won the lottery and can't wait to invest money with you. Make this a summary of why you believe you should receive the funds. Retouch on some of the points that were made in earlier sections. Explain how much it makes sense for them to invest in your business venture. If your plan is written up to this point, you should have plenty of facts to back up your ideas. Writing a business plan not only seems like a lot of work, it is if you do it right. A huge red flag for any type of lender is if you can't take the time to write a business plan, what confidence do I or other bankers or lenders have that you can run a business? Take the time, do the hard work up front, it will pay off in the end. Lastly, this doesn't have to be War and Peace. It does have to be clear and concise so that whoever reads this has a good idea of what you're going to be doing. I've read many business plans in my time and I know what it takes to create one. If you are truly passionate about starting a business, take the time and write it down. There are so many resources out there that can help you, and I'll list a bunch in the descriptions below. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I wish you the best in your business plan writing, and if you have any questions or comments, make sure you post them below. Until next time, have a great day.